morning, treasure seekers. I hope you're having a really good morning. I thought today that I would come and tell you about our story from the Bible out here on my new decking. Adrian has been very busy in the Easter holidays and in half term doing lots and lots of building. It's really great. Now, I wonder if you can think who I am going to pretend to be. Are you ready? I've got some things to show you. This person needs to wear a high-vis jacket. Make sure everybody can see them and that they stay safe. This person needs to wear some big, strong boots. Make sure that nothing falls on their toes and hurts their toes. And they might use one of these tape measure. I wonder if you're starting to guess who it might be. They also use some different tools. I've got some here. They use a hammer. They might use a screwdriver. And maybe some pliers. And they always have to wear a hard hat. Have you guessed who I am? That's right. I'm a builder. And today, everything that we're thinking about in Treasure Seekers and our story from the Bible is about building. Now, because it's about building, I've got a bit of a building challenge for you. Let's pop this off. Take these off here. Carefully put the tools over here. Now, hopefully you've already got some of your building things ready. But if you haven't got them yet, don't worry, because you can press pause on the video and go and get some building blocks. Maybe some wooden blocks like I've got here, or maybe some Lego. And the other thing that you need is you need a cushion. Okay, so put my cushion down here, and I'm going to choose to use building blocks for my challenge, but you can choose whatever you'd like to. And the challenge is that you've got to build the tallest tower that you can in 30 seconds in the time that I'm going to put the music on. Okay, so get some blocks ready. Okay, are you ready? Ready, steady, go. Build a tall tower. Mine's going to reach to the ceiling. Oh no, it's just falling down. I have to start again. How are you getting on? Oh, this one's a bit taller. Maybe I can put this one on the top. Oh no, it's just falling down again. And stop. Well, I didn't get on very well. My tower just kept falling down. What about you? Maybe it was something to do with what I was building on. Now, I've sent Molly and Malcolm out on a challenge today too. I asked them to go and have a look at all the buildings near where I live and to find out what it is that helps them to stay strong and straight. Let's see how they got on.
Bob the Builder, can we fix it? Bob the Builder, yes we can. Come on, Molly, you're such a slow coach.
You're always in such a rush, Malcolm.
Look, Moles, there's a building site. Maybe we can find out how buildings stay strong and firm for Hazel if we look in here.
Good idea, Malc. I wonder what they're building.
Wow, look at that big yellow digger. I love diggers. Broom, broom.
They haven't built very much yet, have they? Where are all the windows and the doors and the roof?
Oh, moles, don't you know anything about building? First, they have to dig deep down into the ground. Look over there. Then they build really strong foundations. Can you see them, Molly? They are made out of really super strong concrete and built on lots of smaller rocks. It's called hardcore.
Is that what makes the building stay up strong and straight?
Yes, Miles. Without foundations, when there was a bit of wind or rain, or even a storm, the buildings would wobble and then fall flat with a big crash.
So, if you were going to build a house on something soft and squidgy like sand, well, that would be a bit silly, wouldn't it?
Yes, Miles. Very silly indeed.
Quick! It looks like it's going to rain. Come on, Malk. Let's go. Race you!
Thank you, Molly and Malcolm, for showing us the foundations for those houses. You see, it's really important that when you're building a house, you have strong, firm foundations. Now, we're going to find out about the foundation that we should build our lives on. And today, our story comes from the Bible. It's a story that Jesus told. Now, Jesus had been teaching lots of people about his kingdom and about people who belonged to the kingdom of God. And as he finished telling the people all about God's forever kingdom, he told this story. It's a story about two men. And I've got it today in a storybook. It's called The House on the Rock. Some of you might have this at home. So remember, this is a story that Jesus told, and he wants us to understand and learn something from the stories that he's telling. Now, the picture's going to come up on the screen as I read to you. Are you ready? Here is a man. He's looking for a place to build a house. He climbs to the top of a big grey rock. Aha, he says, here is a really good place. The man begins to build his house. It is hard work, and he puffs and he pants. He puffs and he pants and he grunts and he groans all day until the work is done. Oh, just in time, he says. Looks like rain. And the rain pours down and lightning flashes and thunder booms. The water washes around the house and it splashes up on the rock. The rock stays firm. The man was wise to choose the rock for the place to build his house. Here's another man. He wants to build a house too. I want it now, and I want it quick. Oh, this'll do, he says. Looks a little bit sandy to me. He builds his house down on the sand. This won't take long, he says, and he whistles as he works. Oh, that was quick. His house is done. He goes inside and he shuts the door. and a raindrop drips onto his nose. Oh dear. The rain pours down, and the lightning flashes, and the thunder booms, and water rushes through the house and splashes at his knees. The sand is all washed away, and the house falls flat. That silly man, he was foolish. He was wrong to build a house on the sand. And Jesus says that if everyone who hears the words of mine and puts them into practice is like the wise man who built his house on the rock. But the person who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice, well, he's like the foolish man who built his house on the sand. So Jesus told that story so that we could understand something, so we could learn something. But I wonder what it was that he wanted us to learn. Well, Jesus said that if we're like the wise man and we build our lives on him, on Jesus, then we are just like the wise man who builds his house on a strong, firm foundation. Because Jesus says that he is the only one that we need. He's our only hope. He's the only one who can rescue us. We need to listen to his words and obey them. That means to put them into practice. It means to do them. And then we're building our lives on Jesus, like building on the rock. And Jesus is that strong and firm foundation. He's everything that we need. By trusting in him, we can be friends with God. And Jesus taught us how to be right with God. He died and he rose again so that we could be friends with God. And so it makes sense for us to listen to him and put his words into practice so that we can be friends with God. We can be in his kingdom forever. But if we don't listen to Jesus' words, if we ignore them and just want to do our own thing, then we are like the foolish man who built his house on sand. Now, I haven't got any sand here at home, but I've got some very, very dry soil. And Jesus says that if we build our lives on anything else but him, it's just like the foolish man building his house on that dry, dry sand and soil. Now, this is what Jesus says will happen. If we build our lives on solid foundation on him as our rock, then our lives will be firm. We will be with God in his forever kingdom. But if we're like the foolish man and we try to build our lives on lots of other things and we don't listen to Jesus and we don't put his words into practice, we don't do them, then we're going to be like the foolish man. Oh dear. And it's not worth trusting in anything else but Jesus, because we only need Jesus.